My daughter looked me in the eye and told me I was not welcome at Thanksgiving because my presence would embarrass her husband in front of his investors. She stood in the doorway of the restaurant I secretly owned and told me my flannel shirt and work boots did not belong at a five-star establishment. She did not realize she had just handed me the keys to her own destruction. I did not argue. I did not raise my voice. I simply nodded and walked back to my pickup truck, parked on the street. The November wind cut through my jacket as I climbed inside. I sat there for a moment looking at the restaurant through the windshield. The golden letters on the awning spelled out Bellini's. It was the finest Italian restaurant in all of Charlotte, North Carolina. My son-in-law, Marcus, had been trying to buy it for 3 years. He had no idea he had been negotiating with me the entire time. My name is Walter Brennan. I am 68 years old. For the past 7 years, I have played the role of the retired factory worker living on Social Security. I drive a 2009 Ford F-150 with scratches on the tailgate. I wear jeans and flannel shirts I buy at the thrift store. I live in a modest ranch house in a working-class neighborhood on the outskirts of town. To my neighbors, I am just Walt, who fixes cars in his garage and plays poker on Friday nights. To my daughter Lisa and her husband Marcus, I am an embarrassment. A blue-collar relic from a past they want to forget. A reminder that Lisa did not grow up with money. They think I am broke. They think I am barely scraping by. They think the only value I have is babysitting their kids when they need a free night out. They do not know who I really am. They do not know that I sold Brennan Auto Parts 8 years ago for $47 million. They do not know that I own 14 commercial properties across the Carolinas, including the building Marcus has been renting for his failing accounting firm. They do not know that the trust fund paying their mortgage every month is not from Marcus's family. It is from me. I started the engine. I did not drive home. I drove to the office building downtown where my attorney Raymond works. The building has my name on the deed, but nobody knows that, except Raymond and the IRS. I parked in the underground garage and took the elevator to the 12th floor. Raymond was waiting for me. He is a sharp man in his 50s, with silver hair and the instincts of a predator. He has managed my affairs since the day I sold the company. I sat down across from his desk. He looked at my face and knew something had changed. What happened, Walt? I told him everything. I told him about the phone call 2 weeks ago, when Lisa informed me that Thanksgiving dinner would be at Bellini's this year. I told him how excited I was, because I had never been invited to one of their fancy events before. I told him about driving to Charlotte this morning to confirm the reservation, and how Lisa met me at the door with a tight smile and cold eyes. She said Marcus's investors were coming. She said they were sophisticated people from New York. She said my truck and my clothes would send the wrong message. She said it would be better if I stayed home this year. Maybe we could do something the week after. Just the two of us. Low-key, Raymond listened without interrupting. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair. She does not know you own Bellini's. Nobody knows. I bought it through a holding company 6 years ago when the original owners retired. The manager thinks he works for an investment group in Delaware, and Marcus has been trying to buy it for 3 years. He wants to convert it into some kind of fusion restaurant concept. He thinks if he owns a trendy restaurant, it will impress his investor friends. He has been lowballing me the whole time. He offered $800,000 for a property worth $3 million. Raymond shook his head. What do you want to do? Love, Raymond. I want to teach them a lesson. I said. I am done being invisible. I am done being the embarrassment they hide from their fancy friends. I laid out my plan. Raymond listened. His eyebrows rose a few times, but he did not try to talk me out of it. He had seen me in action before. He knew that when Walter Brennan made a decision, it was final. First, I said, I want you to reject Marcus's latest offer on Bellini's. Tell him the owner has decided to accept a higher bid from another party. Done. Second, I want you to call the property management company for the building where his accounting firm is located. Inform them that the lease will not be renewed when it expires in January. Raymond paused. That building is yours, too. I know. He is 2 months behind on rent anyway. I have been letting it slide because Lisa asked me to. She said they were having a temporary cash flow problem. That was 8 months ago. And the third thing? I want you to freeze the trust payments to their mortgage company. Effective immediately. Raymond set down his pen. Walt, if you stop those payments, they will default within 30 days. They will lose the house. I know. Are you sure about this? They told me I was not good enough to eat dinner with them, Raymond. They told me my clothes were an embarrassment. They are living in a house I pay for, driving cars I financed, and they are ashamed of me. I stood up and walked to the window. The Charlotte skyline spread out below me. I had helped build this city. My factory had employed 600 people for 30 years. I had paid millions in taxes. I had donated to hospitals and schools and churches. And my own daughter thought I was trash. Do it, I said. All of it. Tonight, Raymond nodded. He began typing on his computer. I watched the reflection of his screen in the window glass. I watched my old life disappear with every keystroke. I drove back to my house. The sun was setting when I pulled into the driveway. My neighbor Eddie was raking leaves in his yard. He waved at me. I waved back. Eddie thought I was a retired machinist who had worked the line at the factory. He did not know I had owned the line. I went inside. I made a cup of coffee. I sat in my recliner and looked at the photo of my late wife Doreen on the mantel. She had passed 5 years ago. Lung cancer. It took her in 3 months. Before she died, she made me promise to look after Lisa, our only child. I have tried, Doreen. I whispered to the photo. I have tried so hard. But she has become someone I do not recognize. Lisa had not always been this way. When she was young, she was kind and grateful. She worked summers at the factory. She knew the value of $1. But then she went to Duke on a scholarship and met Marcus at a fraternity party. He came from a wealthy family in Connecticut. His father was a hedge fund manager. His mother was a socialite. Marcus swept Lisa off her feet with his fancy car and his designer clothes. They got married a year after graduation. That was when things started to change. Lisa stopped calling. She stopped visiting. Lisa. When I did see her, she seemed embarrassed by my house, by my truck, by everything about me. Marcus encouraged it. He filled her head with ideas about status and image. He told her that successful people did not associate with failures. He told her that if she wanted to move up in the world, she needed to leave her past behind. I was her past. When I sold the company, I could have told them. I could have shown them the bank statements and the property deeds. But I wanted to see how they would treat me when they thought I had nothing. I wanted to see if their love was conditional. It was. For 7 years. I watched them smile at me while taking my money. The trust was set up to look like it came from Marcus's family. They thought his grandfather was paying their bills. They had no idea the grandfather had been broke for a decade. No idea that every dollar they spent came from the man they were ashamed to be seen with. My phone buzzed. It was a text from Lisa. Daddy, sorry about today. Marcus is stressed about the deal. You understand, right? Love you. See you next week. I stared at the message. Daddy. She only called me that when she wanted something. Last time it was $20,000 for a kitchen renovation. The time before that, it was a down payment on Marcus's BMW. I did not reply. I turned off my phone and went to bed. 3 days passed. I spent them fishing at the lake and working on an old Mustang in my garage. I did not answer calls. I did not check email. I let the silence do its work. On the morning of the 4th day, the chaos began. I was drinking coffee on my porch when a black Mercedes screeched into my driveway. Lisa jumped out before the car even stopped. She was wearing yoga pants and a wrinkled sweater. Her hair was a mess. Her eyes were wild. Daddy! She ran up the steps. What is happening? What did you do? I sipped my coffee. Good morning, Lisa. Would you like some breakfast? This is not funny. She was shaking. She shoved her phone in my face. Look at this. Look at what Raymond Kessler sent Marcus. I looked at the screen. It was the letter rejecting his offer on Bellini's. It informed him that the property had been sold to another buyer and wished him well in his future endeavors. That is unfortunate, I said. Unfortunate? Lisa's voice cracked. Marcus has been working on this deal for 3 years. He has investors lined up. He was going to quit accounting and run the restaurant. This was his dream. Daddy, dreams require money, I said. Did he have the financing? He was going to get it. The investors were almost committed. Almost does not pay the bills. Lisa stared at me. Her lip trembled. Then her expression changed. Suspicion crept into her eyes. Wait. How do you know? Raymond Kessler. I know a lot of people. Raymond Kessler is a corporate attorney, Daddy. He handles real estate deals worth millions. Why would he send a rejection letter to Marcus? I set down my coffee cup. Why don't you come inside, Lisa? I think it is time we had a conversation. She followed me into the house. She stood in my small living room looking around like she was seeing it for the first time. The worn carpet, the old furniture, the photos of Doreen on every surface. Sit down, I said. She sat on the edge of the couch. I remained standing. 7 years ago, I said, I sold Brennan Auto Parts for $47 million. Lisa blinked. She did not comprehend. I invested most of it in commercial real estate. I bought buildings. I bought restaurants. I bought shopping centers. One of the buildings I bought was the one where Marcus rents his office. Another property I bought was Bellini's. You. Lisa's face went pale. You own Bellini's? I have owned it for 6 years. Marcus has been trying to buy it from me the whole time. He just did not know it. That is impossible. She shook her head. You live here. You drive that truck. You wear clothes from Goodwill. Another. I like this house. I like my truck. And I do not need expensive clothes to know who I am. Lisa stood up. Her hands were trembling. Why would you hide this? Why would you let us think you were poor? I wanted to see how you would treat me. I said. I wanted to see if you loved me for me, or if you only loved me when you thought I could give you something. Daddy. That is crazy. Is it? 4 days ago you told me I was not welcome at Thanksgiving because my clothes would embarrass you. You told me I did not belong in a restaurant I own. You told me to stay home like some kind of dirty secret. Lisa opened her mouth to speak. No words came out. The trust that pays your mortgage every month, I continued. That is not from Marcus's grandfather. That is from me. The down payment on your house, that was me. The money for your cars, your vacations, your country club membership, all of it came from me. I watched the blood drain from her face. For 7 years, I have been supporting your lifestyle while you treated me like trash. And 4 days ago, you made your position very clear. You chose image over family. You chose Marcus's investors over your own father. So now, I am making my position clear. Sihevdal, what are you going to do? Her voice was a whisper. Inde, I already did it. The trust payments have stopped. Your mortgage company will receive nothing this month. Marcus's lease on his office building will not be renewed. He has until January to find a new location. And Bellini's was sold yesterday to a restaurant group from Atlanta. Lisa's legs gave out. She collapsed back onto the couch. You cannot do this, she sobbed. We will lose everything. You never had anything, Lisa. It was all mine. You just borrowed it. All be said. The front door burst open. Marcus stormed in. His face was red. His expensive suit was rumpled. Where is it? He shouted at me. Where is the money? Lisa says you have millions. I want it. I want what is owed to me. I looked at my son-in-law. I looked at the man who had spent a decade turning my daughter against me. Nothing is owed to you, Marcus. He stepped toward me. His fists were clenched. You have been manipulating us. You have been playing games. You old bastard. I knew there was something wrong with you. I knew you were hiding something. I did not flinch. I stood my ground. The only thing I hid was my bank account. Everything else about me was real. The man you were ashamed to be seen with. That is who I am. The man you uninvited from dinner. That is your father-in-law. And that man just decided to stop being your personal ATM. Marcus lunged at me. He grabbed my collar with both hands. He shoved me against the wall. The photos of Doreen rattled in their frames. You are going to fix this, he snarled. You are going to call Raymond and undo everything. Or I swear to God. Daddy, Lisa screamed. Marcus, stop. I looked into Marcus's eyes. I saw desperation. I saw fear. I saw a man who had built his entire identity on borrowed money and was watching it crumble. Take your hands off me, I said quietly. Or what, old man? I smiled. It was not a nice smile. I reached into my pocket. I pulled out my phone. I showed him the screen. This house has security cameras, Marcus. Everything you have done in the last 5 minutes is being recorded and uploaded to the cloud. If you do not let go of me in the next 3 seconds, I will have you arrested for assault. Marcus's grip loosened. He stepped back. I straightened my collar. Now get out of my house. Both of you. Lisa was crying. Daddy, please. Think about your grandchildren. Think about what this will do to them. I am thinking about them, I said. I am thinking about what kind of people they will become if they grow up watching their parents lie and cheat and take from others. I am thinking about breaking the cycle. I walked to the door and held it open. You have 30 days to figure out your finances. I suggest you start looking for jobs. Real jobs. The kind where you actually work for your money. Marcus grabbed Lisa's arm and pulled her toward the door. He stopped in front of me. This is not over, he said. I leaned close to him. I spoke softly, so only he could hear. You have no lawyers, Marcus. You have been paying them with my money. And your investors? I made some calls yesterday. They know about the misrepresentations on your funding applications. They know you claim to own assets that belong to me. I believe the term is securities fraud. So I would think very carefully before you threaten me again. Marcus's face went white. He stumbled out the door. Lisa followed, sobbing. I watched them drive away. Then I closed the door and went back to my coffee. The next 3 weeks were chaos. I know because Raymond kept me informed. Marcus scrambled to find new investors. No one would return his calls. The word was out. He was toxic. Lisa tried to refinance the house. She was rejected everywhere. Their credit score collapsed when the mortgage payments stopped. 2 days before Thanksgiving, I received a formal letter from an attorney. Marcus was suing me for fraud, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and breach of fiduciary duty. The letter demanded $8 million in damages. I called Raymond. He laughed. This is the weakest lawsuit I have ever seen, he said. There was no fiduciary relationship. You had no legal obligation to support them. Everything you did was within your rights as a property owner. What do you recommend? We file a counter motion. We expose his loan application fraud. We submit the security camera footage showing him assaulting you. We turn his lawsuit into a criminal referral. Do it. On Thanksgiving morning, I woke up at 6. I made myself a full breakfast. Eggs, bacon, toast, orange juice. I ate slowly, savoring every bite. I had a big day ahead of me. I showered and shaved. I put on the suit I had bought the day before. It was charcoal gray, Italian wool, perfectly tailored. I had not worn a suit like this since I sold the company. I looked in the mirror. The retired factory worker was gone. The man staring back at me was Walter Brennan, the man who had built an empire from nothing. I drove to Charlotte. Not in my truck. I rented a black Lincoln Continental for the occasion. I wanted to arrive in style. And that mine ate. Bellini's was scheduled to host a private Thanksgiving dinner for 40 guests. Marcus had organized it months ago. His investors, his business partners, his wealthy friends. It was supposed to be his triumph. The night he announced his acquisition of the restaurant, he did not know the acquisition had fallen through. He did not know the restaurant had been sold. He did not know the new owner had decided to make an appearance. I arrived at 6 in the evening. The parking lot was full of luxury cars. I could see through the windows that the dining room was packed. Crystal chandeliers, white tablecloths, well-dressed people, drinking champagne. I walked through the front door. The hostess looked at me with confusion. "I am sorry, sir." "I know," I said. "I am here for the event." "Your name?" "Walter Brennan." "I am the owner." Her eyes widened. She picked up the phone and whispered urgently into it. A moment later, the manager appeared. His name was Roberto. He had run Bellini's for 20 years. "Mr. Brennan." He was sweating. "I was not expecting you," the party organizer said. "The party organizer does not own this restaurant," I said. "I do." I walked past him into the dining room. The conversation stopped. 40 faces turned toward me. I saw Lisa at a table near the center. She was wearing a red dress. Her face went pale when she saw me. Marcus was standing at the front of the room near a podium. He had been preparing to make a speech. He froze with his mouth open. I walked toward him. My footsteps echoed on the marble floor. "Good evening, everyone," I said loudly. "My name is Walter Brennan. I apologize for the interruption." Charles Whitmore stood up from one of the front tables. He was Marcus's lead investor. "Brennan?" He frowned. "As in, Brennan Holdings? The company that owns this building?" "That is correct." Marcus found his voice. "What are you doing here? This is a private event. You were not invited." I stopped in front of him. I was not invited to Thanksgiving dinner either. But I decided to come anyway. I turned to face the room. "Ladies and gentlemen, I understand many of you are here to celebrate my son-in-law's acquisition of this restaurant. I regret to inform you that there is no acquisition. The sale was never completed. The property remains under my ownership." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Charles Whitmore's face darkened. "Furthermore," I continued, "I have reviewed the investment materials Mr. Porter distributed to potential backers. I found several concerning misrepresentations. He claimed to own the commercial building where his accounting practice is located. That building belongs to me. He claimed to have secured financing from family trusts. Those trusts were funded by me, not by his family. And he claimed to have a net worth of $3 million. His actual net worth, as of this morning, is negative $400,000. The room exploded. People started shouting. Charles Whitmore was on his phone. 2 men in suits stood up and walked toward the exit. Marcus grabbed my arm. "Stop it," he hissed. "Stop it, right now." I shook him off. I reached into my jacket and pulled out a folder. I placed it on the nearest table. "Inside this folder," I said, "you will find documented proof of everything I just said. Bank statements, property deeds, wire transfer records. I encourage you to review them carefully before making any investment decisions." Lisa pushed through the crowd. "Daddy, please. Not here. Not like this." I looked at my daughter. She was crying. Her mascara was running down her face. She looked like a little girl again. The little girl who used to sit on my lap and tell me I was her hero. "You uninvited me from Thanksgiving, Lisa," I said softly. "You told me I was an embarrassment. You said I did not belong here." I gestured to the elegant dining room. "But I do belong here. I own here. And I have decided that the embarrassment tonight is not going to be me." I turned and walked toward the exit. Behind me, I heard Marcus shouting. I heard Charles Whitmore demanding explanations. I heard the sound of a carefully constructed facade collapsing into rubble. I stepped out into the cold night air. I took a deep breath. The stars were bright above the city lights. Roberto, the manager, followed me outside. He looked shaken. "Mr. Brennan, what do you want me to do?" "Serve them dinner," I said. "They paid for it. Let them eat." I walked to my car. I drove back to my small house, in my quiet neighborhood. I made myself a turkey sandwich. I watched football on my old television. It was the best Thanksgiving I had in years. The aftermath came swiftly. Marcus's investors pulled out completely. His accounting firm lost 3 major clients who had seen the documents I distributed. The lawsuit against me was withdrawn a week later after Raymond filed the countermotion exposing the securities fraud. Lisa did not speak to me for 2 months. I did not reach out. I let her sit with the consequences. In January, they lost the house. The bank foreclosed when the payments stopped. Marcus's parents refused to help. They had disowned him after the Bellini's debacle. Lisa's name was in the papers. The social humiliation was complete. They moved into a small apartment on the east side of Charlotte. Marcus got a job as a bookkeeper at an auto dealership. Lisa started working as a receptionist at a dental office. In March, she came to see me. She was alone. She drove a 10-year-old Honda. She was wearing jeans and a plain sweater. She sat on my porch. She did not cry. She did not beg. "I understand now," she said quietly. "Why you did what you did. Do you?" She looked at me. Her eyes were different. The entitlement was gone. The pretension was gone. She looked tired, but real. For 10 years, I have been playing a role. The successful wife. The society hostess. The woman who had it all. I forgot who I really was. I forgot where I came from. She reached out and took my hand. "I came from you, Daddy. I came from a man who built something from nothing. A man who worked with his hands. A man who never cared what other people thought. And I threw that away because I was ashamed." I did not speak. I let her continue. "Marcus and I are getting divorced," she said. "He blames me for everything. He says, if I had not brought you to Bellini's, none of this would have happened. He cannot accept that he destroyed himself. Are you okay?" She laughed softly. "No. I am broke. I am exhausted. I work 40 hours a week for $14 an hour. My kids think I ruined their lives." She paused. "But I am also free. For the first time in 10 years, I do not have to pretend. I do not have to perform. I can just be Lisa Brennan, the factory owner's daughter. And that does not feel so bad anymore." I squeezed her hand. We sat in silence for a long time. The sun was setting. The neighborhood was quiet. "I am not going to give you money, Lisa," I said finally. "Not yet. Maybe not ever. I know. But I will give you something else. I will give you time. And when you have built something on your own, something real, come back and see me. We will talk then." 7. She stood up. She hugged me. It was the first real hug she had given me in years. "I love you, Daddy. I love you too, sweetheart." She walked to her car. She drove away. I watched her go. I did not feel triumph. I did not feel vindication. I felt sadness. But I also felt hope. 6 months later, I was standing in a field outside Charlotte, watching construction crews pour the foundation for a new building. It was a community center for at-risk youth. I was funding the entire project, $30 million. Every penny came from the fortune I had hidden for so long. Raymond stood next to me holding blueprints. "It is going to be beautiful." "Walt." I looked at the sign they had posted at the entrance of the construction site. "The Doreen Brennan Youth Center. It is going to be useful," I said. "That is what matters." My phone buzzed. It was a text from Lisa. "Daddy, I got promoted to office manager. Small raise, but it is something. The kids are doing better. We are doing better. Thank you for not giving up on me." I smiled. I typed a reply. "I am proud of you, sweetheart. Keep going." I put the phone away. I looked at the construction site. I looked at the future I was building. For 68 years, I had worked to accumulate wealth. Now I was working to give it away. Not to ungrateful children who would squander it. Not to con artists who would steal it. But to people who needed a chance. People who would use it to build something real. The money that almost destroyed my family was going to save someone else's. That was the best revenge of all. We often make the fatal mistake of confusing financial support with love. For years, I thought I was protecting my daughter by paying her way. But I was only enabling her worst instincts. True love is not about shielding people from consequences. It is about giving them the strength to face them. When I stopped being the safety net, Lisa finally learned to fly on her own. Respect cannot be bought. Character cannot be inherited. The only legacy worth leaving is the lesson that nothing worth having comes for free. If you believe in accountability, hit that subscribe button and tell me in the comments. Have you ever had to practice tough love with someone you care about? I want to hear your story. And grade minus prom today, and did know